Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over this Telson 5x25x56 target master. Now you guys are going to want to stick around. I'm going to go ahead and put in the description of this video a link where you guys can get 15% off if you guys opt to buy one. Now this scope here in its current price point is unmatched. There's nothing out there that beats this thing in its current price point, and this thing will hold its own against scopes much higher than this thing is currently priced at. Now let's go ahead and go over some of the details on this thing before we get it mounted up. I got some hunter matches coming up here pretty soon, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this thing on a rim fire for now because it's going to be getting a little cold and I'm not about to lug a bottle through the woods. It's some of these rim fire matches, some of these hunter matches. So we're just going to switch out to the 22 because it's a lot less gear that I got to carry, and I don't have to quite worry about the regulator issues that you can occasionally deal with, with the sub-zero temps. But this scope here is going to be a 5x25, which means you're going to have a magnification range between 5 and 25 power. At 5 power, you're going to have a 24-foot field of view, and at 25 power, you're going to have a little over a 5-foot field of view. Now this does have a 34 millimeter tube, and it also has a 56 millimeter objective. You're going to get a lot of light transmission through this. That's going to help. Your overall picture quality, and it's also going to help you with light transmission on those low light days. Now, this scope here, it does come with standard plastic flip up caps. They do have aluminum ones if you opt to switch out to aluminum. The plastic works just fine for me, so I would probably not switch out to aluminum. The zoom here, I can tell you, is extremely smooth. It's probably one of the smoothest ones, if not the smoothest one that I've felt so far. And the reason I can say that is because this scope here, I've had it out in sub-zero temps already, and I've had it on pretty warm days, and this thing is just as smooth below zero and as it is, in 60, 70, 80 degree days. So that's pretty impressive because a lot of scopes, well, I'm just going to go and say that all of them tend to tighten up as you start getting colder. The lubes start to get sticky and stuff starts to swell, and stuff just doesn't move right. It does come with a little little throw lever, not very big, but if you don't like it, you can go ahead and it does come with a screw that you can fill up this little hole with. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on. I usually don't use them, but this one's small enough to where it's not going to get in my way and my line of sight of the turret tower. These scopes do have what they call their razorback knurling. It's a very aggressive knurling, and they have it across their turret tower as well as their zoom here, and it's very grippy. You should have no reason to complain about slipping off these things, because even if your fingers get wet or a little oily, you can still spin them around just fine. Now the clicks on these are very audible. It's very definitive on exactly where you're at on your increments. These turrets are 10 mil turrets, and they got 1/10 mil increments on this particular scope that I got. There is 32 mils of travel on both the elevation and the windage. 32 mils of windage is, it's a lot. You should have no problem being able to shoot in hurricane force winds and still be able to get pretty close to your target, if not hit it, even at extreme distances. On your 32 mils of your elevation, that's going to give you a lot of room to really stretch out with your rifle. And the type of reticle that they have on this scope is going to allow you to get even further out, because it does have a lot of stuff going on with it. That's going to allow you to back your zoom off a little bit if you need to be able to get a little bit more compensation, so you can do some holdovers. But these turrets do have rev indicators, so as you go ahead and pass it around, let me see where we're at. We're on 1 now. So if we pass this thing around and we get right around 9, or so, it's going to start lifting up, which is starting already. And as we crank this thing up and we get to our first full rev, we're gonna see this little red tower stick up. And as we keep going, we're gonna crank this thing around. We're gonna get back right there. We're gonna start coming up again. So now we're on our second full rev, and you have a red indicator for your first one and a silver for your second one. So there's there should be no reason why you can't tell exactly where you're at on this scope as soon as you look at it. Now, one thing I really do like about this optic is the way they do their turrets. If you take this off, those are going to drop down into basically a spline setup. So if you drop that down, there's absolutely no way for your increments, your notches here, to be able to get off from your indicator. So there should be no way that this thing should ever jump teeth, get in between increments, so you are always locked into exactly what you're looking at. This scope does have Japanese ED glass, and it also has multi-coated lenses. The multi-coated lenses are going to do a various amount of things, everything from trying to be scratch resistant to fog proof to overall picture quality. So there's just a ton of different coatings that they put on lenses. And the Japanese ED glass is going to allow your picture to come through really good. It's going to allow that light transmission to get back to where it's supposed to be as fast as possible, and that's going to allow you to get optimal clarity out of your optic. Now, this scope here is a first focal plane, which means no matter what power you're at, your reticle is going to remain the same. So if you're at 5 power, a mil at 100 is going to be 3.6 inches, and if you're at 25 power, a mil is going to be 3.6 inches, whereas a second focal plane, those numbers are going to vary. First focal plane is what I pick for hunting, and it's also what I pick for target shooting, because I can memorize it, and it's just a lot easier for me in the style of shooting that I do. Now, the parallax is just a basic parallax. This is going to be different than what you're going to get. I went ahead and cut a piece of paper, and I went ahead and parallaxed this thing, and I did a bobble test from 20 yards all the way out to 400, and I made my mark. So when I'm at a match and shooting and I'm bouncing back and forth from distances, I can spin this quick, and I don't have to worry about getting my head in the exact same place or trying to look through an optic that's not parallaxed for the distance I'm shooting. So I can be really quick when I spin this thing around, and I can be really accurate. The scopes, the parallax that's on this is going to be a standard white ribbon with some cutouts on it and some increments. The website is going to tell you what those increments mean. A lot of scopes used to put numbers on it, yardage numbers on there, but it turns out that a lot of people were using that as basically a bullet drop compensation. So they turn this sucker to 300 and think that the scope is automatically going to adjust for a 300-yard shot, which is simply just not the case. So after probably hundreds of phone calls or thousands of phone calls between optic manufacturers, pretty much all of them have gotten rid of putting numbers across there. So MKM Machine is making a larger parallax knob for this scope currently. I'm not sure how far out they are in having that done, but it'll be a little bit bigger and it'll be pretty spiky, so it should be real easy to grab a hold of and spin. This scope does have a illuminated reticle, so the illumination on this has a wake motion indicator. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is, so I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure I do, but I'm not going to say it in here because I don't want to lie to you guys. But it's a pretty slick little setup, and this thing does have 11 different shades of illumination. Now, this scope in its current setup comes in at 31 ounces, and it is a little over or a little over 14 and a half inches. So it's a pretty stout optic, pretty heavy, very, very good optic. It parallaxes all the way down to 20 yards, so you should have no problem catching targets that get tossed out at really close distances to give you hiccups. Overall, this optic is pretty sweet, and I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I've shot it on the trigger came on. Now this gun here, we got a lot of weight to it. I just put 12 and a half ounces and we're grouping pretty darn good right now. That's a 3-shot group, right on the money. We got the first part of this video done on this Telson 5x25x56, and it is mounted up on the CZ457 with the L3i package. This gun shoots exceptionally well, and this optic complements it very, very nicely. Now I'm going to give you guys a view of what I'm seeing when I look down through this optic, and I've got the Trigger Cam 2.1 to help me accomplish that. It's extremely cold out right now. I'm starting to get a little shivers. Toes are about frozen already, but I know it looks pretty damn nice out right now, but I can tell you it's very deceiving. It's pretty darn cold out. But let's go ahead and run a couple groups on this KYL, and yeah, we'll get out of here. We've already shot a 3-shot group on this out of this rifle before we even got started, so we know our zero's good unless we get some random flyers, which it does happen with rimfire, especially in colder weather. You'll have some weird detonations, and you'll have a lot of failures to extract and misfires, but I can honestly say with this CZ57, I can't remember a time that I've had either. So this CZ57 has done really, really well in cold. My Voodoo, I can definitely say that thing has let me down in cold weather, which kind of sucks because it is the price difference between the factory or the Voodoo compared to a factory action on a CZ is they're not even close in price range. So it's kind of depressing to realize that you get let down. So let's go ahead and fire these things off. And of course, as soon as I say it, what the hell's going on here? Wow. As soon as I say that, I didn't pull my bolt back fast enough and didn't kick the casing out. Ha! Go figure. Karma. So let me put a couple more rounds in here. Alright, now we'll try it again. I'll throw the bolt back a little bit faster this time.
little bit of wind. It's tend to be going right to left right now. It's picking up. It's a little hard to see without all the leaves on the trees and the grass, but you can definitely see them swinging down there. So we'll try and time these things if the wind keeps them moving. Now that's one thing that you're going to have to deal with when you're at some of these matches. You're going to find that wind is going to do that every now and again. It's going to have those little KYLs, those little targets moving. So you got to learn how to adjust for that, or how to time it. And I can tell you, it's never easy. I mean, you can see that little thing just going crazy. Nah, I was about to. Now, when you have those little targets moving like that, if you're playing a timer, it can definitely help you out. If you got a timer in your ear, like I usually wear, you'll find that you can really get down to the very last second. And sometimes getting down to that very last second is what you need to be able to allow the wind to die down just enough where you can make a clean shot and make your impact count. Because if you're trying to beat the clock, then you're going to be firing off while them things are moving, and it's probably going to bite you at some point. And that point may be the difference of you winning a match, or you taking, you dropping out of a podium finish. But those are just some things you need to think about as well. So let's go ahead and run one more on this thing. And then I'll zoom in and out for you. If I shot that one or not. A lot of times these targets, they don't quite move that much. I got my rack sitting on an angle, so that's what's causing them to all hit each other and make it a little bit worse. Alright, see if we can get this last one. Got it.
Good thing is the trigger cam's been recording, so that's a plus. I've done this before where I've done these videos and found out that I never even pressed a button on it, and I just wasted it. Then you gotta go down and repaint your targets. But anyways, that's really about it. This scope is a fantastic option at its price point. It is the best option in its current price point. I can tell you that right out the gate. That is not a lie. And I'm definitely not biased by any means. Anyways, you guys are going to be watching me shoot this thing a lot coming up. And hopefully I do good this year, just next season. But until next time, wish you guys the best. Good luck out there at your meets, target practice and shooting, whatever you plan on doing, and stick around.